Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Joyful Productivity course for 2019. I am so excited to be here with you. This is my favorite topic to teach. And I think throughout this course, the reason why it's my favorite topic is because if you implement even one or two ideas from this course, it will make a real and palpable impact in how you work throughout the rest of the day, the week, the months, the years. And that has a real improvement in your business, in your income, in your, most importantly, in your joy and sustainability in doing the work that you love. So the way that this course will work, here's my suggested learning method as you go through this course. The first thing I'm going to always ask you to do is to reflect on your own experiences. And throughout the course, I'll give you a minute, minute and a half in certain sections to actually reflect and journal, even if it takes just a few words in that minute and a half about your experiences. Those of you who are watching the replay itself can, of course, pause at those times and journal longer. Those of you who are live get the experience of the excitement of participating in the live chat. So there's benefits to both. So once you reflect on your own experiences, then I'm going to offer you some additional ideas from my own best practices, as well as the best practices of those who are live joining the call. And then finally, the third step is to take a look at the things that you're being exposed to, including your own experiences in your own practices, and then commit to implementing or improving something that you're doing so that you can actually make progress in your life. A commitment to your transformation is really what I hope you'll make as you take this course. This is a course that is really about practice. It's not just that you have some pleasant lectures, hopefully pleasant, to listen to or watch, but it's something that you actually will say, you know what, that's a really great practice. I am going to start doing that, or I'm going to improve on how I do that. So I hope you will, here's what I encourage you to do. Look for one idea in this session that you're excited to implement in your life that you aren't already doing or that you could do better. And look for one idea in each of the sessions of the 6 sessions in this course, okay? And think about, when will I apply the idea and where will I apply it? At a certain time of the day or doing a certain task. Let me now kind of give you an overall agenda we're going to cover in the 6 sessions so you can have an idea of what's coming up. And the agenda may actually change based on the feedback of the people who are actually taking the class live. And thank you for those who are joining me live for this. And for those who are watching the replay, please feel free to comment below the video anytime you'd like. So in this session, we're going to talk about the foundations of productivity, because joyful productivity is still primarily about productivity, or how efficiently and effectively you work. We'll talk about that. We'll also talk about what I call the discipline of rest, because I think that is one of the most important foundations that we often neglect in this hyperactive society. And then we'll talk about the daily reviews that I recommend that you do to stay on track with your purpose and to clear the decks so that you don't feel overwhelmed. In the second session, we'll talk about purpose and bringing more of your higher purpose into your daily actions so that you can enjoy it more and feel more aligned. We'll talk about visualization. I believe in visualizing the process, not just the outcome, so that we can actually bring joy and success into every moment rather than wait for the future success and pine for that, better life in the future. We can have that better life and that ideal life right now, today. We'll talk about overcoming procrastination in the second session as well. The third session, we'll talk about organizing information. As I work with people, I hear that people spend a lot of time every day looking for information, looking for, where did I put that document, or where did I put that thing I was going to send to someone? For me, I spend very little time on it because I'm extremely organized, and I'll share with you my systems for doing that, and you can ask any questions you want. We'll also talk in the third session about the process of how we work through a to-do list. All of us probably have some kind of to-do list, whether you call it that or not. And I'll share with you a very, I think, a very effective process of how do you work through a to-do list. Session 4, we'll talk about creating consistency in your work. And related to that, we'll talk about boundaries. Session 5, we'll talk about the very important topic of creative discomfort and self-doubt. And also, we will end session 5. The second half will be about automation and outsourcing. I'll just kind of touch on those topics. And finally, session 6 will be focused completely on digital decluttering. I'm excited to do that session with you. We'll go through your, we'll clear your emails for a bit. We'll clear your computer desktop. We'll clear your browser bookmarks and your to-do list. So it's going to be an exciting session. So based on what I've said thus far, all these different ideas, what are you most looking forward to? I would love to know. And so if you'll just take a moment to comment below, and I'll just give you maybe 30 seconds of silence to let you comment. What are you looking forward to most in this course? What do you feel like you need the most? I'll just be quiet for a little while and let you comment below. All right, thank you so much. Okay, so let's now move into the foundations of productivity. And as I mentioned before, the learning method that I'm going to recommend and implement in this course is for you to first reflect on your own practices, your own best practices that maybe you're doing and you're doing great, but sometimes you may have neglected some things that were really impactful for you. And in this course, you're going to be encouraged to recommit and reconnect with the things that have been working well for you. And if you only did them consistently, would continue to work well for you and help you out. So the first set of best practices I want you to think about and reflect is, what are the practices, the ideas, the exercises, the tools that when it comes to your eating, when it comes to your nourishment, your nutrition, what works well for you? It might be something you're already doing consistently, or it's something that worked well in the past that you wish you would do more consistently. When it comes to your eating, your nutrition, your nourishment, what works well for you? And I want you to write that down somewhere if you would like to, and I would love for you to actually put it in the comments below the video. Those of you live here, put it in the chat. And don't look at other people's comments for now. I just want you to reflect on your own and just type out your own without looking at anybody else's. I'm going to give you about a minute and a half to do this. So I'm going to share a screen, and I'll let you go ahead and do that now. What are the best practices for you when it comes to eating, nutrition, nourishment that helps you to be more productive in your life? All right. So was that helpful to reflect on your own, to reconnect to what's working for you or what worked for you in the past? Will you recommit to doing the things that are working for you, that you know help your clarity of mind, your energy levels throughout the day? Will you recommit to that when it comes to your eating and your nourishment? All right. And of course, if you want to look at the chat log, those of you watching the replay, you get access to the complete chat log as well. So if you want to look at the chat log, you'll see lots of wonderful best practices from your fellow kindred spirits who are also interested in being more joyfully productive. So you might find some gems in the chat log that remind you of something that you used to do or something you would definitely want to try as well. Now, let me share with you what's working for me and for some of my own clients. Okay. I'm going to share a document with you later in this call. Those of you watching the replay will already have access to the document. But for the sake of those live on the call, I'm going to share the link with you later in the call so we can stay focused. And I'll just share what's on the screen whenever it's relevant. So what works for me is krill oil. I don't know if any of you take things like fish oil. There's also vegan omega-3s you can look into. Look for EPA and DHA, particularly EPA, DHA type of omega-3s if you're going vegan. For me, I take krill oil from Costco. I take 2 pills a day, one on the morning, one at night. That has palpably helped with my clarity of thought. Almost no other supplement. I've taken ginkgo, I've taken everything else. Not everything else, I've taken some. And krill oil is the one that really fits the bill for me. Time-restricted eating, a lot of you have mentioned this in the chat. When I moved my breakfast from 8 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. or later, it does help. It's helped me with my weight for sure. Just that one single change helped me stay at a better weight. Probiotics, it might be a placebo effect for me. I don't know, because I read about probiotics. I know they're supposed to work, but I don't know if I feel anything different, but it's supposed to be good for my health. So y'all might want to look into that as well. And then I'll give you this document where it gives you the suggestions for my own clients in the Master Heart program. Some of them participate in this, and you'll see lots of wonderful ideas here as well. Okay. All right. The next thing that I want you to reflect on is your sleep and rest. Another huge foundation to productivity. In fact, I think it's actually the most important one. So I'm going to give you 90 seconds to reflect on what is working for you or has worked for you in the past regards to getting good sleep and rest so that you feel refreshed the next day. All right, let's go ahead and do that now. And feel free to chat below your ideas as you think of them, and ignore other people's chats for the time being. What works for you when it comes to sleep and rest to give you refreshment for the next day? So was that helpful to remind yourself of what's working for you in terms of sleep, reconnecting with that? And will you recommit to what is working for you to get better rest? Because without good rest, it's very hard to have productivity, let alone joyful productivity. And now I'm going to share with you what works for me and what works for some of my clients. And of course, you will see lots of ideas in the chat for giving you additional tools that you might want to try or practices for getting better sleep. So, all right, here we go. So what works for me overall is to not worry if I'm not getting deep enough sleep. I'm a very light sleeper. I wake up consciously at least a dozen times a night. I know some of you might find that shocking, but I'm a very light sleeper. And I think I used to literally be like my eyes would open dozens of times per night. And so I started reading books about sleep, and I got really worried that I wasn't getting, enough deep sleep. But one day I came to, someone told me, a friend, thankfully, he told me this. He's like, George, every body, physical body is different, really. And what works for somebody else and what's in the mainstream news about what's deep sleep or what might not be right for you. And George, you seem like you're being productive in your life. You feel fine throughout the day. So why are you so worried? Why don't you accept that that's how you sleep? And when I made that acceptance and I started practicing that, it was amazing. I realized, wait a second, maybe I'm some kind of mutant. And I just wake up many times a night but I still I'm still a productive adult. And so once I accepted that, I let go of the anxiety, and ironically, I got much better sleep going forward. So let go of whatever things you think you should. So anybody else's ideas in this course is not necessarily meant for you. Do what works for you and try out other ideas. And if that works for you, great, do it. But if it doesn't work for you, you are different, okay? I also take multiple naps a day. Some of you might want to try this. And I come from a country, Taiwan, where people are mandated pretty much to take naps in school after lunch. We're mandated, and it was kind of painful for kids to do that, but for adults, they were very grateful. I take 3 naps a day, 15 to 20 minutes. After that, my wife, if she takes a nap, I wake her up, after 20 minutes or so. Otherwise, she thinks, oh, no, I need to sleep for 90 minutes or 30 or 2 hours. It just gets really groggy the rest of the day. And research tends to show that. But again, do what works for you, right? Another thing that some of you might want to try is setting a recurring alarm. Some of us set morning alarms, but have you ever tried setting an evening alarm? That's changed my life. And I used to sleep at midnight or 1 a.m. And one day I'm like, yeah, I'm going to try sleeping earlier in the day. Chinese medicine supposedly says it's better to sleep earlier, 10 p.m., etc. Your liver or whatever is replenishing itself. Anyway, again, Chinese medicine may or may not work for you. But what I started doing is I started setting an evening alarm. Actually, when I was trying to go to bed way earlier, I was setting it 5 minutes earlier each day. But you might want to be more gentle and set it 1 minute earlier each day to just remind you to get going. Now, you might not be perfect and always get up to start your pre-bed routine, but at least remind you and try to practice. Practice 3 times. Set an alarm, watch TV, set an alarm for 5 minutes, and then get up when the alarm goes. Practice that 3 times, and you'll build into your muscle memory. So the next time you set an alarm and it rings, you'll instinctually want to get up more quickly. That's called muscle memory. And practicing that 3 times makes a real difference. It sounds silly, but it actually makes a difference. So that's why I now sleep at about 10:30 p.m. each night. Naturally, I naturally feel sleepy, whereas I used to feel sleepy only at 1 a.m. Okay, so it's possible to move from being a night owl to an early bird if you think it'll help your business more. And it definitely helps my business because I'm on the West Coast. I see clients all around the world, and it's better for me to start my day earlier for my business, right? Some useful tools, I'll let you click on these things later. And I'll just want to share with you quickly a couple of things. When I get into bed, what makes such a big difference for me is to not fidget and move. And I really just started doing this in the past couple of weeks, and it already has made a difference for me. I used to think that I had to get into the perfect position, right? The perfect warmth or coolness. This part of the body can't be too cool or whatever. And I'd be fidgeting for like half an hour, to try to get into the perfect thing. And now I realize I just give myself 1 minute and I count down in my head to get into an adequate position. And then I say, do not move until I get sleepy. And that works for me. So try that out if you find yourself fidgeting a lot before you fall asleep, it might work for you. Also, practicing gentle rhythmic breathing for me really helps. One long in, one long out, and 2 short pauses, meaning after I exhale, I pause before I breathe in again. At whatever pace feels relaxing to you, whatever speed, okay? You might count with your heartbeats, etc. It might be 1 long in or 2 or 3 long, but practice some rhythmic breathing. It might help you with getting to bed, because I am basically I've been an insomniac for much of my life. I mean, I got, like I said, being anxious about it, but now I sleep really well. I sleep much better. And when I'm breathing, I always try to breathe in and out one of these words, and not just the word, but I try to feel it: love, thanks, peace, joy. Those kinds of words, even enjoyment. Okay, and even if I'm not falling asleep right away, I say this to myself: I'm enjoying the experience of being here. I'm enjoying it. I don't have to fall asleep. And in fact, I've stopped trying to fall asleep, because I think when I try to fall asleep, I get anxious. You know what I'm talking about? So I don't try to fall asleep. I just enjoy the experience of resting in bed, no matter if I'm still awake. And the most important thing in terms of thought is I catch myself, oh, I'm planning again for the next day or for the future. Or I'm reflecting on the past and what I could have done better, or what's not working. Any kind of reflecting or planning, it's like mindfulness practice. I catch myself doing that, and I let go, and I let my mind drift. And I notice before I fall asleep, basically, my mind drifts into very bizarre places. I have very bizarre thoughts, like very bizarre combinations of ideas. And, and like, so that's okay. Then I know, oh, I'm almost falling asleep, and that's great. And then finally, what's really helpful to me is getting enough hours in bed, again, even if I'm awake. So one example is typically on Tuesday nights, I have a bit of an insomniac night, because Wednesdays are when I teach my courses. Last night, I was awake since 4 a.m. this morning. I typically don't get out of bed till 6:30 a.m. So I've been awake since 4 a.m. But you know what? I did not get up. I noticed that if I'm awake at 4 a.m., I'm like, okay, my creativity asks me to get up and start writing or to start working, right? God wants me to get up, or whatever it may be, right? I used to do that, and I noticed I feel like crap the rest of the day, even if I try to go back to bed. And I kind of have a set schedule, so I really can't sleep a whole lot during the day, because I have appointments, I have things I want to do. So what's better for me is to stay in bed, even awake, from 4 a.m. all the way to 6:30 a.m. Again, breathing joy and love, practicing mindfulness, and just enjoying the time in bed and letting my thoughts wander without planning or reflecting. And that's more helpful, and I feel fine the next day, versus getting up for an hour and a half and then trying to go back to sleep. I feel like crap the next day. So I don't know if you've ever tried this, but don't worry about being in bed awake. In my opinion, just enjoy the time. So anyway, something for you to try. But I know all of us have different practices. You might be a different person. Do what works for you. The other thing I do is sometimes when I'm awake in bed as an insomniac, is I imagine a cocoon, myself being in a cocoon of healing. And I really actually believe that I self-heal a lot in my life. I haven't gotten sick for years. And I think it's because I practice self-healing, the imagination of self-healing. And I actually do believe our bodies heal ourselves way more powerfully than what Western medicine is willing to admit to. There's such a thing as a placebo effect. Why does the placebo effect work? Because our bodies are self-healing based on the mind's thoughts. So I imagine this cocoon of healing when I'm in bed. Like I'm imagining like this futuristic scene where it's like I'm in this cocoon and they have some healing rays, or spiritual scene, whatever. Like I'm always like being surrounded by healing light. And I know I'm not very good at visualizing, but I just kind of imagine that happening, and it seems to work. I don't know, maybe not. Okay. So the next thing, I hope that's helpful. And there's a lot more ideas from participants in my Master Heart program when I give you the document later, and of course in the chat log as well. All right. The next thing I want to go into is your practices of movement and exercise. So I'm going to give you 1 minute this time to reflect on what works for you to keep a consistent practice, and what kind of movement or exercise helps you to stay productive. So 1 minute reflection. Let's go ahead and do that now. And go ahead and chat in if you would like to, and chat below the video. So what will you recommit to now that you've thought about what's working for you? Maybe what worked for you in the past in terms of exercise and movement. What will you recommit to, knowing that it's going to help you with your productivity? Now, I'm going to share with you what I do multiple times a day between work sessions. And in fact, within a certain hour, I split that into half. I work Pomodoro style. I do 27 minutes of work with a timer. We'll talk about that later. And then 3 minutes of a break. And let me now demonstrate to you what I do in those 3 minutes. I'm going to push my desk back a little bit, and so that I can actually show you full body exercise. And by the way, some of you are probably shocked that that's a poster. Some people think that that's my window. No, it's not my window. Okay, so I'm going to do a full body practice, and you can do it with me if you'd like, or just watch along and do your own movement practice that's helpful for you. And I'm going to actually make sure that you can see more. Okay. All right. So I start out by doing some gentle head rolls. And just be gentle with yourself. Just do it in a way that feels good to you. Okay. And then what I do is I do some head massage. Just do it as a way that feels good to you. Just be gentle. I go down to my neck, down to my shoulders as well. And I even do my face. As I do my face, I do more of an upward motion, upward motion. Just massage your face, your temples, your jaws. Okay. Now after I do that, I do some stretches. So I use my arm, I swing my arms like this. Now, I really believe that when we move our bodies, we move our brain and we get ideas going. So that's why I think too many of us sit too long at the computer without movement. That's why I'm religious about taking breaks and doing as much of this movement routine as I can. And after I do that, I stretch up and I try to stretch my spine, but just kind of stretch up as high as I can with one arm, tiptoe, and then the other one. And then I stretch back. So stretch back like this. Twist my spine a little bit. And again, do this gently and only in a way that doesn't harm you in any way. And maybe you're not able to stretch as much, but just kind of, as you get going, you get more and more flexible over time. And now I'm going to put my earphones down so I can show you what else I do. Put my arms back like this, and then I stretch down. And then I go like this. Okay. And now I do some stretches for my forearms and my hands. And I learned this when I learned Aikido a little bit years ago. We work a lot at the computer. You probably do as well, or with your mobile phone or whatever. And there's a danger of getting repetitive stress injury or carpal tunnel over the years. So it's important to keep your forearms, stretched and flexible, and always do. So this is what I do. I first put my hand out like this, okay? And then I take the other hand, and then I stretch it inward, okay? So again, be gentle with yourself, but feel the stretch here, okay? And then I move it up, and then move it down. And then I do the same thing with the other hand. Out, use the other hand to press in, right? I don't know if you can see it properly. And then go up and down. And then I put my hand out like this. And then I use the other hand to press down on it. And I kind of go like this, up and down. Again, gentle with yourself, feeling the stretch over here. Okay, and the next thing I do is I put my hand out like this. I turn it in, okay? And I put my other hand like this, and I stretch it up so that I'm feeling the stretch back here. I stretch it up, and I kind of come in like this, from up to down. Okay. And then finally, I go like this, and I use my other hand to twist like this, so I'm feeling the stretch on the other side. Okay. And then I kind of go like this, down. And this is, of course, being recorded, those of you who are live, so you can watch this back if it makes sense to you, if you want to do that. And then what I do is I do some massage, some gentle twisting, squeezing massage of my arms, okay? Now, I'm explaining all this to you, and it's taken longer than 3 minutes, but literally the whole thing takes me about 2 minutes to do, okay? In 2 minutes, think about it. Is your body worth 2 minutes an hour for you? Is the long-term health of your arms and your body worth 2 minutes? Of course it is. So please make this a religious exercise. Make it so strict for you. Like every hour you do some kind of movement, whether you do mine or something, to keep yourself flexible, okay? And after when I massage my arms, my forearms, all the way down to my fingertips, I'm squeezing them as well, okay? And you can massage your hands if you want to, and then the other side, okay? And after I do this, I lift up my leg, and you can't see it, but I lift up my leg, and I massage my legs as well. Again, quickly, all the way down to the feet, and I even do a little bit of balance with bringing my leg in and stretching my leg. I'm sorry you can't see it. Let me see if I can make it this way. And you probably can't see it, but I'm kind of balancing my leg a little bit by stretching it. And balance also is important. The older we get, the more important balance is to practice. Okay, so get started, whatever age you're at, get started practicing balance. Again, massaging my other leg, I'm stretching it like this, and then I'm stretching it like this. So that whole thing for me takes me about 2 minutes, and I welcome you to find your own way to make it work for you. But the key is flexibility of your body as far as you can. Just different ways of stretching your body and massaging. Kind of quick self-massage really helps. All right. Now, what I also do is the energy reboot. So like I said, I take a 3-minute break. That whole stretching and massage thing takes 2 minutes. And then for the final minute, I do my energy reboot, and I'll show you what that means. This is my way of connecting back to my spirituality and my greater purpose in my work. Because at the end of the day, or any moment in the day, whatever we are doing right now, whether we're writing an email, we're making a website, we're writing a blog post, we are contacting a client, even meeting with a client, or whatever it is we're doing, or some so-called boring administrative work, it's never really, the deepest purpose in that moment is not that you do that task. Okay, the deepest purpose in that moment is that you connect back to your spirituality and your purpose. And surrounding that task with your purpose. Okay, so what I do is, let me just explain kind of my theory behind it. Maybe the most important thing I can ever tell you is that you are loved. If you only ever hear one thing from me and you remember one thing, I hope you remember that you are loved. And maybe the secondary thing, this is more of a belief, but I believe that the universe is literally made of love. So I believe that when I breathe in, if I intentionally believe that, I'm literally breathing in love. Everything, all the molecules are made of love. And perhaps our purpose really is not to build a business or to express this idea in our life or to share this thing with the world, but maybe our purpose that we all share is to bring love to the moment. whatever the moment is. So this is my energy reboot practice. And oh, also, because the universe is made of love, and you are loved completely, accepted as you are. You are fine and loved and accepted and cherished as you are by a higher power that is much greater than you, by your soul, by your spirit, however you want to say it. You are loved. And because you are loved by a higher power that is in control of everything, my belief, I believe that there is total security, that you have total security in your life in a way that you can't even imagine. And all the things, I'll pay my bills, blah, blah, blah. That's very temporary. It's like we're playing a video game. After this video game is over, wow, that was fun. Wow, that was really challenging. I'm going to go back and play the game again. I learned something from playing the game, but now I'm fine, So those are some of my beliefs. This is what I mean by finding a connecting practice that works for you. But let me just walk you through this, and maybe you'll connect with this, maybe you won't. Let me know what you think of it. So I do this again as part of my 3-minute break every half hour throughout my working day, as much as I can. Of course, not when I'm on a client call, but when I'm working, particularly at the computer. So after I do my stretches and things, I put my hands to my heart and I breathe in love. Breathe out total security. You can do this with me if you want. Let's try that again. Breathe in love. Breathe out total security. And then once again, breathe in love. Breathe out playfulness. I then stretch out my arms like in a receiving position, and I breathe in wisdom, because the universe is also made of wisdom and it's available to us at all times, a higher, deeper wisdom, far smarter than any of us can be. And you can access that at any time. So I breathe that in, wisdom. I breathe out wisdom out of every pore in my body. I activate wisdom in my actions in life today. I put my hands together. Now I think about the next task that I'm doing, the very next thing. If I'm writing an email, I'm thinking about that email. If I'm planning my course, I'm thinking about the actions of planning the course. Whatever I'm doing, okay, I think about that task, and then I breathe love and wisdom into that task, imagining myself doing that task with love and wisdom. Here we go. So that's practice. It takes about 30 seconds. I've timed it. And of course, explaining it to you took longer than that. But it's amazing. I do this many times a day. And I think that's one of the reasons I can work with Joyful Productivity. And so you've just gotten the secret of Joyful Productivity. You can stop the course now. That's it. Right? So that's really, I think, the most important thing I can teach you. If I die, and that's one thing you take from me, the fact that you are loved, that's all. That's all I needed. That's all I needed to tell you in this life. Okay. So next, what I want you to reflect on is your own connection practice. And I'll just give you a minute. What works for you to stay connected to your higher purpose and to your spiritual path, whatever that may be, personal growth path, spiritual path? What helps you stay connected every day? And can you stay connected throughout the day? What might help you stay connected throughout your day? Some of you have taken on my energy practice, make it your own, change it up, whatever you want, whatever practice it is. I'm going to give you a minute to reflect on that. Here we go. And chat that in if you would like to. Will you recommit, even just today, recommit to your connection practice at least once, maybe twice or three times, so that you can bring more joy to your day? All right, let's move on. And again, I will offer you a link to many ideas from myself, my clients, and also from those who are chatting. You'll get the full chat log so you can see who's offering ideas, and you may or may not want to reconnect or connect with somebody from this course and ask them more about what they mean by something. Okay. Next, let's talk about the discipline of rest. Now, I've already begun kind of talking about this, but let's kind of take a moment to think about how many breaks do we need to stay healthy and to stay joyful in our practice. So here is what I've noticed. Many of you spend too much time at the computer. Many of you, probably all of you, spend too much time working. What happens is the time you give to work will fill whatever time you give to it. A book can be written in 10 years or 2 years or 6 months. If you don't set a deadline, the book will be written in 5 years or 10 years or 2 years if you're lucky. Because I set a deadline, in other words, a larger timer, my life runs on timers. Because I set a larger deadline, I publish a new book every 6 months. And by the way, I have now found, now I'm going to publish my 4th book. 6 months is a long ass time to write a book. But that's because I give myself only 6 months to write a book. Okay. And same thing, I give myself only a few hours to prepare this course. If I didn't set timers and I just didn't take breaks, it would take me months and months and months to prepare this course. Most of you take too long to do things, honestly, because you think you need that much time. But if someone gave you if you were on a job, if you were being paid to do something in a certain time, believe me, you'll do it. Do you see what I mean? I mean, all of us, probably most of us, have gone through school. And did you notice how you were able to do miraculous things in school? Like, how did I write that paper overnight? Like, I couldn't write it for the whole semester. And then overnight, I wrote that paper. How is that possible? Because you haven't been using your mind and your energy as effectively as you could have. And my way around doing that is to schedule breaks into my day and to be religious about my breaks. And not just my day, but my week and my year. And if I schedule breaks in and then pair that with a deadline to finish projects, I get a lot more done than most people. Work less so that you are more efficient when you are working. And the gentle way there is to focus on breaks. Okay, so I really believe in frequent breaks. Don't spend too much time at the computer at any one time. I spend, like I said, unless I'm on a client call or I'm on teaching a course that's an hour long like this, I get up out of the computer every 27 minutes religiously. Those of you who do co-working with me see that I do that religiously. No, I don't care if I'm on a train of thought. Okay, here's a limiting belief. It's funny, I don't believe in limiting beliefs, but I do believe in limiting practices, limiting structures. And here's a limiting habit. You think that if you break your train of thought, you can't go back? Wrong. You're limiting yourself. You can break your train of thought as often as you want, and you can come back. Now, I'm not saying you should break your train of thought with surfing Facebook every 5 minutes. That's a bad way to break a train of thought. You should focus for 25 to 45 minutes, maybe up to 90 minutes at a stretch. I think 90 minutes, from what I've read from research, is really the maximum that anybody can focus. Even in those 90 minutes, you're distracted many times, right? So you might as well get up and do movement exercises so you can get your ideas going. If you're in a train of thought, write down what the train of thought is at the moment. Practice getting up, go get a drink of water or whatever it may be. And then you'll find that when you come back, you'll probably have a fresh perspective. So more movement, okay? Be strict about your breaks. Doesn't matter if you're in flow. Be strict about your breaks. That's what I do. I've practiced that. Now I get so much done, right? And start a timer at the beginning of each computer session tomatotimer.com is one tool. I'll give you a link. Again, the links will have all the different tools that you can try out, but that's one tool that I've used a lot. So now what I want you to do, what I invite you to do, is to create your regular break routine. Would that be every half hour, every 45 minutes, every hour, every 90 minutes? Especially if if you're working on your own, you're not mandated by a job to take breaks. You need to mandate yourself to take breaks. Okay, so what will it be for you? 25 minutes, 45 minutes, 90 minutes? Set a time. Again, you don't have to do what I do, but commit religiously to taking breaks for your health, for your creativity, and for your efficiency. All right, so I'm going to give you a minute now to think about what could work for you and what will you do during that break. So as I showed you, I did my stretch and my massage, and then I do my energy reboot. But then another thing I do, I didn't tell you this, before, and actually as I do my stretches, where's my head? My head is reviewing the past session. What did I do well? That's the required question I ask myself. What did I just do well in the past session, past half hour? For me, it's half hour, 27 minutes. What did I do well? Maybe it's for you, it's an hour. What did I just do well? And then an optional question is, what's one thing I can tweak to make the next session even more joyful, even better? Do I need to remember to breathe? Or need to remember to bring purpose to it? And oftentimes the one tweak keeps being the same thing over and over and over again. That's okay too. I just keep reminding myself, oh yeah, got to breathe more. I got to be less manic in my work and be more joyful and calm, right? So whatever it is. So I review and then I preview, right? So what about you? Okay, my term, put water in there or hydration, bathroom, whatever it may be. So I'll give you a minute to think about how frequently you're going to take breaks and what you're going to do during the breaks. Feel free to chat below. The tricky thing about taking breaks is that, like I said, I do it even when I don't feel like taking a break. Because what happens when you're in flow, when you're, oh my God, this is working. I have a lot of juice right now writing this piece or something, is that there is a danger long-term of repetitive stress injury and of burnout. But the problem is you don't experience those things until it's too late. That's why you need to be disciplined about rest, disciplined about taking breaks. You're not going to feel like it. You're going to feel like you're in flow. But that's a danger sign that, ooh, when was the last time I took a break? That's why you need a test for yourself. Is it 25 minutes? Is it 45, 60, or 90 minutes? Test these things and see what you're going to commit to. Make it strict, make it a discipline, make it your self-care religion, okay? Taking breaks, frequent breaks, okay? All right, another frequent break that I take that I want you to think about is daily thinking time. Do you give yourself enough thinking time? And thinking time, I think, works best when your body is moving. When you're walking or when you're puttering around the house, doing mindless chores and organizing things. When you're in the shower, these are all thinking times. And when I'm walking my dog, unless I'm listening to a podcast I really want to listen to or a video or whatever, I hold a question in my mind, a problem I want to solve in my business or for one of my clients or something. And I'm holding that and I'm just walking along. And then I just let ideas come to me, wash over me. And then I write down any ideas that are good. Do you have enough thinking time? One of my clients told me that her thinking time is when she's on the bike. Biking is wonderful thinking time. Swimming too, if you have access to that, or just even walking, okay, out in nature particularly. Great for thinking time. Or puttering. Puttering is great. You get both some organizing time and some thinking time if it's not too much thought. Do you have enough thinking time? And what will you commit to give yourself enough thinking time? Okay. And then the last, very important in terms of reminding yourself to take a break is I set recurring alarms. I have alarms throughout the day to remind me to take breaks. They are on a recurring, repeating basis. So whether you have an iPhone or an Android, I used to have an iPhone for about a decade, and now I'm on Android. Happily so, actually. After a month, it's going really well. Doesn't matter. Both iPhone and Android have recurring alarms, so please set them. I'll give you an idea of my recurring alarms. These are all recurring alarms. You can see when they recur. Okay. See, it reminds me to take a nap, reminds me to get up from a nap, reminds me to do all kinds. These are recurring alarms throughout the day. And of course, set a sound for an alarm that's pleasant, right? Don't set an annoying sound, because otherwise you'll hate the alarm. Make the alarm something pleasant. You could change your alarm tones every now and then to keep it fresh. But I don't have to remind myself to take a break. These alarms are there. And when I do my work, I set the timer. Just like I was showing you earlier, I set it for 27 minutes. So that reminds me to take a break in the middle of the session. But these alarms remind me to take naps and get up, go get a nap and wake up from the nap, etc. Okay. Now, let's see. Let's actually talk about reviews now, and we'll kind of end the hour. At the end of each working day, do you have a process to complete your day? I think a lot of you probably feel like you have to be working all the time, that your working day is not ever really complete. It's not healthy. It's not healthy for your mindset, for your mental, and in your joy in your business over time. I have been practicing what I call the daily reviews now for over a decade. And I end every working day feeling like my day is complete. Like I literally have nothing else to do for work at night. I mean, sometimes I feel like answering an email, or sometimes I feel like responding to a forum post, but it's completely optional, and I usually don't. I want you to have a process of ending your workday so that you can say, my workday is complete. The to-do list is clear. My inbox is clear, or at least postponed. To-do list, you can postpone everything. Your inbox, you can postpone everything. There is nothing else for me to do in my business for the rest of the day. I want you to have that experience every working day, whichever days you work. So let me now offer you a document that contains my daily review process. Okay. And I'm going to put that into the live chat, and we'll take a look at it together here. When you come into this document, you can make a copy by clicking here, and you may need to click on this link down here to make a copy of it, okay? And here's the key. This is a document that I look at every single day. Now, you may say, George, I thought you've been doing this for 10 years. Yes. So I've looked at this document thousands of times, and I'm going to look at it today again. One of the keys that key practices I've realized is that I don't use my brain to remember things. I only use my brain for creativity, and for creativity, for improvisation, for relationships, pattern recognition, etc. But I don't use my brain to remember something that a computer or a piece of paper is better at remembering than my brain is. So I just look at this so I can relax and not feel like I forgot something. So I have a morning review. Now, by the way, this document is extremely comprehensive. My actual document personally is much shorter than this, but I'm giving you all the possible ideas that you may want to copy and paste into your own document. And please feel free to experiment with which things you actually need. And I recommend that you make your document as lean as possible. Don't have everything on here. Just take the things that you actually want, okay? So I have a morning review, which I do for about 10 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes really, before I start emails or whatever I do in the morning. And then I have my end of day review, which I do religiously. I carve out an hour and a half, Monday through Friday, to do my end of day review. What about you? I'm a very busy person. I create a new course a month. When this year, 2019, I'm going to be repeating some of the 2018 courses, so I don't have to create a new one every month. But 2018, I created a new course every month. I publish a new book every 6 months. I have a full client load. I have a full group coaching program. Everything, and yet I carve out an hour and a half Monday through Friday to do my end of day review, which of course includes clearing my to-do list and clearing my inbox. Do you have that kind of carve out time? If not, I highly recommend it. Okay. So end of day is what I'm going to kind of walk you through very briefly. You look at your appointments. Okay. Actually, one thing I don't think I have on here. Oops. One thing I don't have on here is send billing to client from today. I realize I don't, that's actually a new thing. And another thing is, did any client pay today? Log it into spreadsheet. Okay. I log these things. So I do my business bookkeeping every day so that it doesn't pile up. It's very easy to do. And I only log payments from one-on-one clients or group clients. I don't log course payments or the smaller payments like courses and books. I don't log that. I just look at that once a month. So anyway, I think these are actually pretty self-explanatory. So I'm gonna have you read through this on your own and come up with your own process. And the most important thing is to declare your day complete at the end of each working day. So schedule in your end of day review and clearing, and then start doing it as soon as possible today, if you can. Okay? All right. So I also want to show you, actually, I'm going to have to show you that in the next session, a kind of an hourly review form. I'll show that to you in the next session. So let's complete this session now. And I would love two things. One thing is to get your feedback. Okay, get your feedback, especially those of you live on the call. I'm looking for 5 people actually to offer me a testimonial for this course thus far. The question is, if somebody didn't buy this course and they're thinking, should I buy the course or not? What would you say to them? So if 5 of you are willing to help me out with that, that'd be so great. But I would love your feedback. Is this going well? Especially those of you who are live, those of you watching the replay, give me feedback anyway so that I can make the better version next time. And next time, when I teach it next year, you'll get a discount on next year's version. And the most important thing, though, is what will you implement from this course? Did you find one thing? And maybe you found 2 or 3 or 5 or 10 things you want to implement from this course. But if you only had one thing that you most want to implement from this course, what would that be? I would love for you to chat that below. And in chatting it below or commenting below the video, I also want you to be committing to yourself that you're going to practice that as soon as possible. And my question for you is, when will you implement that one thing? When will you implement it? Is it going to happen today? And at what time today? Or at what activity today will you implement this thing? I'm going to give you a minute to think about that now and to chat that below. For the sake of time, I'm actually going to end this exercise. And the last thing I want to say, a homework assignment, should you choose to accept it. Have you noticed that throughout the session thus far, I've talked frequently about when things are going to happen, and how I said I kind of live I build my business based on timers of one sort or another, starting with breaks. I schedule that into my calendar. So, and the homework assignment, should you choose to accept it before the next session, create your ideal schedule for the week. What will you do when? Starting with breaks, build that in. Oh, I'm going to have my morning nap, or I'm going to have my lunch and nap, or whatever. That's me. I'm going to have my dog walk, or my walk in the park, or whatever it may be. Building your breaks. I'm going to end my day at this time, which means my end of day review will happen at this time. Create an ideal week's calendar. Okay, step one. Step two is to try to follow it to the letter and modify it as you realize you need to do this or that. Modify things, okay, so that you can keep modifying your ideal calendar. And then here's the next step, the final step, which is most important. Notice your resistance in following your calendar. Does it feel contracting? Does it feel whatever? And write down what your resistance is. Journal about your resistance in following your calendar, because your calendar should give you joy, not contraction. Okay? So I would love to get your thoughts on your resistance to following your calendar. And we'll talk about that in the upcoming sessions, because by the end of this course, I hope you will come up with a rhythm of building your business or doing your work that is consistent, that's stable, therefore gives you stable returns and stable income, and gives you adequate self-care. So with that, just a preview of upcoming attractions. Thank you for being part of this course. I hope this will be genuinely transformational for you and worthwhile for you, but only if you take action. So I look forward to hearing about your actions and your results and your joy in implementing these things. See you in the next session. And there's my alarm. See you in the next session.